So, last night, being the person I am, my husband and my girlfriend had a miscommunication problem. And it was brought to me by her and not by both of them, and it wasn't discussed. And I told them they needed to discuss it with each other, and they asked me to be there while they discussed it. So I did. It was just some stupid little itty-bitty communication problem that every relationship has. And except it was between them and not her and me or him and me. And there were a couple things said in the argument where I had to stop both of them from arguing for a second and explain to her the rules of engagement during an argument in our house. In our house, you cannot, when you argue, we do not want certain phrases or words to be said ever. They are banned from the house. Because arguments should be constructive and personal growth should always happen in this house. If they're deconstructive, then they don't need to happen. Some of the things that we don't allow during arguments are things like you're wrong and I'm right. You're not listening. I hate that. Instead, we use things like I dislike that or I don't agree. In my opinion, also, we're very, we don't like having such words said as divorce or breakup or I might as well quit. Things like that. They don't get brought in because they're said on the spur of the moment. They're not meant, and then the more you say them, the easier it is to say it. And that's just the way that we do things here. Most of our arguments, like I said, are geared towards if you're miscommunicating, then communicate, and if it comes out argument, it's usually debate. We don't yell, we don't scream, we don't throw stuff at people. We sit and we listen, and then we put our 2 cents in, and then the next person listens and put our 2 cents in. Because arguing happens. It happens in every relationship. And it especially happens when you're polyamorous and you have many relationships going at once, and even if it's just 1 or 2, there's even more of a chance of miscommunication to happen. So we really try to be respectful of each other and while trying to get our point across. I don't know if that makes much sense. Things always and never are never allowed. Always and never are not allowed in our arguments. You always do this or you never do that, because 99% of the time you're wrong. As I say, if you're wrong, you're right. That's not included either, so I guess it probably wasn't the best way to put it. But if you say you always do this, well, that's not necessarily true. Or you never do that. Well, that's not necessarily true. You can say, I feel like this is happening a lot, or I feel like this isn't happening and it needs to be. I was just wondering if anybody else had rules of arguments for their house, or if we're just kind of one of those few strange families that do. Anyway, I'd love to hear some feedback. But this being my first video, there's probably not going to be a lot of people watching it. Anyway, well, thanks for watching.